How's it going, guys? Welcome back to TheBlueShifting and welcome back to House of Fata Morgana, Requiem for Innocence. So, Jacopo had an assassination attempt last time. Gratine came in, brought him some poisoned beer, and nearly got him. I mean, the only reason I know he didn't get him is because he's got to survive this, but holy crap. Like, I can see why he's paranoid now. Literally, like, the one person he genuinely thought he could trust literally tried to poison and shake him. And so now, yeah, if his, console doesn't try and purge the streets while he's like recovering, I could see Jacopo telling him to go ahead and purge the streets, because like the one person he thought he probably could trust literally not only found out his secret, but tried to kill him for it. So yeah, I really don't know what to expect here, but I imagine this is going to be a very painful episode where we're going to see Paranoia become the primary concern for Jacopo and sets the stage for what happens with him in the future with Morgana, depressingly. So yeah, let's just jump into it, get this taken care of, and go. I might make this a shorter episode. I'm really tired. I had a bit of family stuff that happened. Just when people get sick and you end up taking care of them, I'm perfectly fine with it, but I'm exhausted. I still wanted to make this video though, but we're gonna have to see about Persona. Might not get to Persona. We'll see. It just depends on how things are going tomorrow night. But this is kind of the downside of, having other priorities in life. Is like, I don't always get to choose how things play out. So let's jump into this and see how things go. So, thank you so much. I can't breathe. My blood feels like it's made of magma. My throat burns. My skin, it's like it's being eaten away. Oh, who's there? We know what the red text is. Who's there? Why are you laughing? Answer me. Oh, it's him. No, it's not who I thought it was. How does it feel, boy? To know all you went exactly as I said it would. How? But you thought you wouldn't be able to trust anyone. You're dead. The worst is yet to come, boy. Silence! You could work yourself to the marrow of your bones and steal the people and never look beyond the surface. I said enough. Listen, you can hear the scorn in their voices. They're calling you a tyrant, a soulless monster. I know you can hear them. They are not. They say you're no better than me. That you're being foolish ruler who cares not for his people. That you shout an endless cacophony of discontent. Shut up. Just shut up. I'm nothing like you. Can you, then, remain a virtuous leader, no matter how bitterly your people despise you? Is your love for them truly so resolute? No, the virtue you brandish was never so selfless. Tell me I'm wrong, slum rat. It is not benevolence that drove you to take the throne, but a thirst for power, for privilege. Not another word. Do you know what truly brought you here? You were tired of people looking down on you. You thought you'd be treated with respect if you had real power. You wanted it more than anything in the world. Enough already. You dedicated your life in the service of others. It was never going to last. Allow me to make a prediction. Creepy. Soon, very soon, you'll find yourself drifting over to my side. You'll stop caring about the people's lives, and for that they will despise you. You'll lose any last bit of your sense left in you, push everyone away until you're all alone, and then you'll succumb completely to madness's grip. Stop talking. You don't have what it takes to be the lord of the land. I said stop talking! People aren't the only ones who aren't on your side. You have enemies everywhere. Look. The nobles don't accept you as one of them. They'll try to drag you off to the throne by any means. Your aides and servants will turn on you. And this won't be the last time you writhe at the claws of poison. Again and again and again and again, and never will you stop being the target of others' loathing. Or will you continue to act like some kind of paragon of virtue, never wavering in your faith in others? How long will your benevolence last? In the face of dozens of attempts on your life. Shut your goddamn mouth. It won't be easy, boy. Because you came from the slums, you'll face even more, even greater threats than I. Silence! I bet that just terrifies you. Drains all the hope from your heart. Well, there's an easy solution. Follow in my footsteps and reign with terror. Stop talking. I've heard enough of your god-starred noise. You're already afflicted with a great curse, boy. A curse known as the Lord of the Land. It's a curse from which you will never be free. And hence, you will never be free from me. I can't do a laugh right now. I'm sorry. However much you may come to regret taking the throne, you can't give it back now. It's not something you can simply hand off to someone else, nor a duty from which you can simply relieve yourself. That anguish and agony and misery it brings you every day will follow you all the way to your grave. Just stop, dang it. You're babbling to yourself, you darn ghost. Go on, try and make me. Cover my mouth, why don't you? You can't do it, can you? You're too weak to defeat even a mere spirit. Shut the heck up. I know precisely what your future holds, boy. You'll sit upon the throne alone, not a single person at your side, and not even death shall free you from this eternal solitude. Oh, he's right, though. I really do think this is technically Morgana's, grudge. It's beginning the torture already. For it is not but an empty shell in which you decorate the throne. Stop talking! Do you hear that, slum rat? Someone's coming for you. The question is, do they act out of genuine concern? Can you be sure the water they give you is safe to drink? Perhaps they mean to finish you off. If a simple grunt like him could get his hands on poison, how easily do you think it would be for the Lord's Consul to procure such a substance hundreds of times more potent? Hell, I wouldn't even begin to have gone through the trouble. You're no more than a threat than an insect with its wing torn off. A feeble woman or a crippled slave could plunge a knife into your trembling spine with little effort. Behold the former mastermind of the revolution. All this suffering, you brought it upon yourself by trying to defy your fate. Ha! Ha 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 ha! There's the... alright. Let's try this. Oh, that hurt. I am so bad. I can't be a voice actor, can I? The nightmare continued. Again and again and again they haunted me. Every time I drifted off to sleep, there floated Baroner's severed head, cursing me, mocking me, laughing at me from every direction. And as he said I would, I soon began to hear the people as well, endlessly condemning me, deriding me, berating me. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, but Gratine's words told me otherwise. My old companions called me Jacopo the Betrayer, he had said. I wasn't sure how much time had passed. Was it a day? Was it night? Was I sane enough to tell the difference? Was I even still alive? I had no idea. I was always the same refrain every time he appeared. You can't trust anyone. Your friends will all eventually betray you, try to drag you off your throne. Your people have no faith in you. Everyone despises you. I couldn't even tell anymore. What were those Bariner's words? Or were they coming from the depths of my own mind? All I knew for certain was that there was no escaping them, and that they were slowly eating away at my spirit. My breathing was labored. My entire body felt like it was on a spit being roasted in the center flames of hell. And at the other times, I couldn't stop shivering. Felt like I had been tossed into a frozen river. Doctors, guards, de Leon. I couldn't tell who was who, but there always seemed to be someone standing at my side. The faceless shadow was anything but comforting, though. The Forebearner's ghost constantly reminded me of their threat they posed. I quite certainly wailed like a terrified child. Everyone seemed like danger. If even Gratine couldn't be trusted, who was to say the doctors weren't sneaking poison into my medicine? Who was to say Old de Leon didn't plan to silently remove me? I didn't know who I could trust. Or maybe Bariner was right. I couldn't trust anyone. Still, he cackled. Still, he cursed right by my ear. There isn't a soul left in the world who won't betray you, he whispered, laughing away. My fever seems to be receding. I can finally move again. Looks like I survived. Hey. Hey, is anyone there? Where are you, Odilion? Anyone? Lord Bariner, I'm so glad to see you feeling well again. Thanks. We've all been worried sick. Lord Bariner? What? Oh, pardon, you just seem, not quite yourself. But after all that's happened, I suppose that shouldn't be a surprise. How long was I out? 3 days, sir. The poison kept you bedridden for 3 full days and nights. How long, huh? Then I've got a lot of work to catch up on. Yes, sir, but I implore you to take things easy for the next few days. When do I ever have time for that? Now, where'd Odilion go? I haven't seen him. Go fetch him for me. He's presently... Don't tell me he's not around. Where the hell did that old man get off to? No, he is here. Please, Lord Bariner, try to remain calm. Odilion was... Odilion! My lord, is that you? Thank heavens, you are well. Forget about me. What happened? My deepest apologies. I don't want an apology. I want you to tell me what has happened. Please, my lord, dress not over the simple old man. Why, Odilion? The Odilion I know would never design to put himself out in front of a gang of slum dwellers. Oh man. Please, Lord Bariner, try to remain calm. Odilion was stuck in the head with a stone and is in critical condition. The following day, that is, the day after Gratine poisoned me, a dozen people from the slums showed up at the manor gates. They heard cries in anger protest against the Lord, demanding change. Evidently, Gratine hadn't kept word of my deception of his, to himself, so in addition to their other complaints, they shouted that I was a fake, that I wasn't actually nobility. They threatened to reveal my secret if I didn't do something about their living conditions. And the commotion dragged on through the day. People within the manor started getting restless. Eventually, it got to be so tense that Odilion stood near a window, told them they needed to cease immediately, and that if they wouldn't, they would be charged with lèse majesté, which is when they hit him in the head with a rock and lost consciousness. God, you damn fool! I'm quite pleased to see that you have recovered enough to shout with such vigor. Now I needn't worry. Wait, slow down. Worry about what? Regrettably, it would seem old age has bested me. I think the stone must have gotten my eyes, for I cannot see you there, my lord. I'm right here. Please don't give up on me. You're stronger than a stupid rock. Give it a few days, you'll be back to perfect health. And even if your sight doesn't come back, you can still do your job. I can tell you everything I see. Come on, Odilion. My sincerest apologies. Please! Why would you even go and try and take them down yourself anyway? Why would that... Whatever happened on acting only on your own benefit? What did you have to gain from not having them executed on the spot? They were rioting in front of the Lord's manor. You had no reason to bother warning them. There was no question they were committing a serious offense. Why didn't you just throw down the way you always do? And then I wouldn't argue with you about it, like I always do. What the hell's gotten into you, Odilion? I suppose I must have softened up somewhat. Excuse me? You cared so much about your friends in the slums, my lord, that I took pity on them. I'm sorry. I gotta admit, I'm actually feeling kind of ill right now, so I'll continue this later. I'll just pick up where I left off. I'm sorry about this, but like right now, I genuinely I went from feeling like meh to feeling kind of shaky and sweaty. So like something's up with me. I will take care of it and come back to this when I can, but be patient with me. So we'll be right back. So last time you saw me, which is earlier in this video, I got really sick. I was trying to record and I was feeling kind of meh, and then you might have even noticed as I went through that recording, I suddenly spiraled and I was just like, nope, I gotta stop. I gotta go be sick and I gotta go lay down. I ended up being out for the rest of that week, but I am back now, so we're gonna finish this. So we're back here. Death side of our console. Old age seems to weaken more than just the body. How truly inconvenient. Odilion. Nevertheless, I am glad this old body held out until today. What are you... I would not have been able to pass on peacefully had I not seen you recovered from your poison, my lord. Stop it! Don't talk like that! I told you, you're stronger than one darn rock. I'm your lord, damn it! My word is the law! 'Tis with great regret that I must defy my lord's command. Ugh. Enough, I mean it! You stop this right now! My warnings against you being swayed by your emotions remain unheeded, I see. And who the heck's fault is that, huh? You are the Lord. The sooner you learn to control that blaze, the smoother your future endeavors will proceed. Do not allow your days to be cut short as well in a moment's weakness. Gah! I implore you to always remain strong. Strong and ever high of heart, so that none may drag you down. With death upon me, my hands are shaking dreadfully. I didn't think anything scared you. It terrifies me to know I will be leaving you alone. Before I was able to teach you everything, I cannot bear knowing that I have forsaken you at but the onset of a great and perilous journey. There is so much more I have yet to pass on to you that you will need in order to become a great ruler. So much. Then don't go! Stay and teach me! You said you wanted to fulfill your duties as consul, that you didn't want to die until you'd accomplished something worthwhile. You can't tell me you're satisfied with this. Odilion! Odilion? Odilion. Don't do this. You can't. Say something. Please, anything. Tell me it's all a cruel prank. Odilion! Gah! Lord Baroner. Odilion is dead. Make arrangements for a funeral. Yes, Lord. And what happened with the riot? They fled soon after striking Odilion. I would wager they returned to the city. Thank you. Would you like something done about them, Lord? I would. They need to understand their actions have consequences. They slandered their lord and murdered his consul. We can't just let them walk away from that, now can we? Then we'll have them all arrested and thrown into the dungeon. I said there would be consequences. If we just slap them on the wrist, they will come back and do it again. They'll mock me, condescend me, ridicule me, keep making a mess of my home. Tell me, do you feel safe serving a lord whose people neither respect nor fear him? Would you have an admiration for a leader like that? Have them executed. Since Odilion isn't here to advise it, I, Lord Baroner, officially order. Every spark of opposition is to be snuffed out. You find every last one of the rats and relieve them of their heads. And put them on display in the city square. Make sure they know damn well exactly what awaits anyone who opposes Lord Baroner. Yes, Lord. Oh boy. Oh boy. Odilion's blood was on my hands. My inexperience and naivete had gotten him killed. He had warned me again and again that my people had no love for me, but I ignored him, foolishly believing in friendship, letting Gratine into my house, and ultimately getting Odilion murdered. My trust didn't belong with Gratine, or my slum companions. It belonged with Odilion. I should have realized so much sooner that he was the one and only person I could trust. Men with whom I'd spent years had likely participated in that riot. Men whose names I knew, whose faces I recognized, with whom I had spoken on countless occasions. But I felt not even a pang of regret in ordering their deaths. I didn't reminisce about the good old days. Those days were gone, irrelevant, meaningless. I felt no sympathy for the people they were leaving behind, nor did I so much as bat an eye when I saw their bodies lined up before me. Compassion bred weakness, made you vulnerable. I had to exercise every last bit of it. It was the last thing I needed, for I was the Lord Jean-Francois Baroner. Hey, look at all those heads. Supposedly they were beheaded for trying to assassinate the Lord. Seems like a lot of folks for assassination attempt. Who can say what happened up yonder? Have you been down to the square today? I have. My heavens, I almost passed out at the sight of it. Why would those stupid thugs try to go after the Lord anyway? There's been whispering around town. They say he was actually born in the slums and isn't a noble at all. Wasn't that just his cover while he was hiding from the phony Baroner? I certainly hope that's the case. But either way, it's probably best to keep quiet about the topic. I'll say. I doubt he'll do anything that's as bad as the phony, but it still brings back bad memories. And things were getting to be so pleasant, too. What is this? Some kind of sick joke? Gratine, right at the very front. And the other guys he used to hang out with at the pub. Did you kill them all, Jacopo? You killed all your old friends? Why? Why the hell, Jacopo? You would never hurt anyone. What happened to you? You went through hell with these guys. How could you just effing murder them? Have you really changed that much? You have. You have, Jacopo. You've become a completely different man. No, you're long dead. You died in that damn revolution. The Jacopo I know no longer exists. All that's left is Lord Baroner. Everyone, they're all gone. You, Morgana, Jaren, Gratine. Every last one. What the F, man? I appointed a new consul shortly after Odilion's death, but he was an ineffectual, short-sighted oaf. And to top it off, he had a tendency to simply nod and agree with anyone and everyone rather than express any opinions of his own. If anything, having him around made my job more difficult. But it wasn't as though there was anyone else competent enough to take the position, and relieving him so soon would come into his own crop of problems. So I ended up using him to shuffle papers and handle other menial work while I took care of the actual decision-making. My first order of business was to establish clearly defined rules and punishments. Speaking ill of the Lord, spreading false rumors about his lineage, creating art of any form which could be interpreted as defamatory. These were all considered acts of lèse-majesté, and, in the most severe cases, were potentially punishable by death. I started seeing results almost immediately. The people stopped claiming I was fake, and that it came from the slums. The Baroner name became a symbol of fear once again. My renovation efforts proceeded as originally planned. The city flourished, and as a commerce hub attracted merchants and patrons and visitors from near and far. Some fields had to be removed as well to accommodate the expansion of the marketplace, but they were hardly producing anything worthwhile to begin with. If farmers wanted to keep farming, they were free to move elsewhere. I scaled down the size of the slums while scaling up security. Lacking leadership, what little remained of the peacekeeper group had turned into a gang of unruly thugs. So rather than keeping the peace, they largely made things worse. In response, I forbade the formation of unauthorized organizations within the slums. And with all that in place, the city was much safer, more orderly, and the economy significantly stronger than it had been under my predecessor's rule. However, those unfortunate enough to miss riding the wave of economic growth found themselves falling even further behind their neighbors. The ravine between the poor and the wealthy had become nigh uncrossable. Interesting. My own manor was hardly a bastion of safety either. Not only was I rapidly enacting new policy, laws are stricter and punishments harder than before, so many were, to put it lightly, more than a little displeased with me. I'd gone through several food tasters and just as many direct assassination attempts. I mean, okay, I understand he's really rapidly turned into the very evil he sought to destroy, but at the same time, when you literally had food tasters dropping dead from people trying to kill you, it'd be hard not to be paranoid. Like, it's not even like, oh, they could try and poison me. It's like, they've actively tried to poison me at this point. Fetch. It wasn't particularly difficult to avoid major incidents by simply suspecting everyone, but I could seldom relax as a result. In time, I came to prefer solitude. Well, not so much prefer, as require it for my own safety. I mean, gosh darn it. He really makes a solid case for why he being like this kind of makes a lot of sense, huh? Odilion's death left me with more than just solitude, though. The phantom slipped free from my dreams. Uh-oh. Appearing from my shadow whenever I was alone. Laughing endlessly. What did I tell you, boy? You're controlling them with fear just as I did. It's a wonderful feeling, is it not? The look of terror on a man's face is the most exquisite thing in all the world. Silent, you. Stand by the window and listen. You can hear them all the way from the bottom of the hill. Bemoaning the great and terrible Lord Baroner. Be quiet. And you know what their cries are all about? It's not me any longer. It's you, boy. Shut up, gosh darn it. Don't fool yourself. You're no better than me. Enough! I said silent, spirit. I am nothing like you. Is that so? But tell me, boy, how do we differ? I don't hold those disgusting banquets for one, nor do I torture slaves for my own sick pleasure. By your command, hundreds of slaves are being worked so hard it would surely spell their deaths. How is that any different than murder or torture? Their deaths aren't meaningless. They're giving their lives for the good of the city. In your eyes, perhaps. But how many would take your side? You have no idea what you're talking about. If the people were truly satisfied with your rule, you wouldn't be holed up in this room all the time. You have no one you can open up to, and no one to offer you companionship. What better proof of your tyrannical ways than your own isolation? Shut your mouth. You wretched man. How many times have you been betrayed? How have you found anyone you could trust after all your old friends proved you couldn't even count on them? Oh, for goodness, quit babbling already. Solitude will be your constant companion for the rest of your days. And should you let your guard down even for a moment, know that 100 men lie in wait, ready to plunge their blades into your back. Your attendants dream of the day they can sneak poison past your taster. Shut up. Ah, you poor pathetic child. How much misery and stress have you brought upon yourself because you let your dreams run amok? Clawing your way up from the world much, much too big for you. Begone, damn you! Ha 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 ha. My lord, I heard a crash. Lord, how many times do I have to tell you to stay out of my chambers? Forgive me, but I was afraid you might be it. I can take care of myself, dang it. Don't make me say it again. Yes, sir. To hell with you. We're nothing alike. I'm making their lives better, not worse. I'm not a tyrant. I started relying on alcohol to rid myself of the phantom. When I was drunk enough, I didn't have to see anything. Lovely. I didn't dream, didn't have nightmares. And most importantly, I didn't have to think. There were times I couldn't be sure whether I was in my right mind. There were times when I was so panicked I wanted to scream my throat out raw. But there's never a time I was safe showing that weakness. I knew from experience it would only put me at risk. I couldn't complain to anyone. I couldn't ask anyone for help. I couldn't believe in anyone. Odilion's dying words came back to me again and again. Stay strong and ever high of heart. What did it even mean to be high of heart, though? Certainly I had nothing to be proud of. Not having spent my early years in filthy, impoverished slum rat. Not having spearheaded a violent revolution and stolen the throne. Not in the face of the tale about me secretly being a noble. I hadn't been raised to be a lord. I hadn't been taught to have a proud, noble spirit. That was likely what Odilion had wanted to impart upon me. The nature of a ruler. People automatically respect a man who's truly dignified and noble. They instinctively admire him, kneeling out of wholehearted honor. And that's what makes a true king. Not knowing the first thing about how to be that kind of man, I fell back into the only alternative that came to mind. Forcing them to kneel beneath my iron fist. 2 years under Odilion's tutelage was nowhere near long enough to instill in me a natural nobility I needed. Thus was I left to be tormented by this accursed phantom whenever alone to play the ruthless ruler elsewise. In my attempt to make the fear lurking within me, to mask the fear lurking within me, I grew louder and more obstinately contemptuous. Wow. If this isn't like a case study on like bullies, power hungry, and like those who are determined to cling to something they are afraid to lose or that they're unworthy of. Practically every other word out of my mouth was an insult. The old Jacopo was long gone. The Lord Baroner had crept in to take his place. It was gradual enough that I hardly realized it was happening. But now, all I saw in the mirror was the face of a cruel, wretched man. I even came to hate my old self. Think him foolish. What kind of vapid, nebulous dream was I want to go out into the world? What basis did I have for thinking myself any more significant than any other kid on the streets? And where the hell did I get the idea of having influence meant having freedom? I could barely even take care of myself. Where did I get off thinking a little power would let me protect the people I cared about? And what about now? What fundamentally did I even want now? What did I have to protect? Nothing. I was too far gone. There was no light to be found no matter how far I marched this path. Alright, this is the most dangerous line of thinking, and I think it's something that we often all succumb to in a way. The biggest flaw, the biggest danger, I think, to anybody is feeling that they're so far gone that they can never go back. That you've made too many mistakes. You've delayed your dreams too much. You've made too many errors. You've angered too many people. You've driven loved ones away too often. Like, there's never a point where you're so far gone you can't start making improvements. This is coming from somebody who is currently facing this trauma now and trying to tell myself this every day. After failing school, like, I'm trying to find meaning again in my own life because that was something I always felt was a big part of my life, and now I'm trying to figure out what to do with myself. This is coming from somebody who's got a sibling who had to go into rehab for alcohol consumption, but who's now 2 years sober, and I'm so proud of her. This is coming from somebody who has worked really hard and has been successful avoiding debt. That's something that I've been able to step away from, which has been amazing so far. I'm really grateful for it. But a lot of the motivation for that is watching my own father still, to this day, burdened by debt that he incurred getting his education. His education was never a mistake, and he'd never change anything about it, except for the fact that, like, he wishes he'd found a different option rather than having to go into debt. That doesn't mean he can't make good decisions now. That doesn't mean that you can't find changes and make the changes necessary now. That you're too far gone, that there's no light to be found, that you've gone past a tipping point or a point of no return. Heck, it's really sad, and the prison system needs probably some changes, but even if you've gone to jail for something you've done, I don't think you're irredeemable in most cases. There are crimes that I think are too far away gone, and there are states of mind that are too dark that get, like, for that type of comprehension. But the thing is that the people who are in those places aren't wanting to change. They're willing to do terrible, terrible things because that's what they want to do. But to people who feel like they've gone too far, that there's no way of going back, that's never true. If you have a desire to change, if you have a desire to be a better person, that's the first and most important step, is admitting to yourself that you aren't good enough for what you want to be and that you want to be better. And then the next step, the most important step, is that little bit better, is that little bit of effort, that little change in your life, like either the daily habits or the way you choose to talk to somebody. The little tiny bits are what make the biggest difference in the end. It's by small and simple things that great things happen. It's not a coincidence, and it's not just like, it's so easy with the internet to feel like we see people at the height of their journey, seeing everyone being the most successful. It's also what we see on television. Yet the reality is the fact that every person we see who has climbed to the top of the mountain had to walk there. You know, people who get on top of Everest, besides the fact that Everest is now becoming a trash dump, but people who climb the tallest mountain in the world didn't just jump there. They didn't get to ride a helicopter there. You can't even do that, actually. Helicopters can't fly that high. They had to walk. They had to climb, camp, sleep, drag themselves, take oxygen. Like, there's steps you have to take to get somewhere that's meaningful. And the thing is that those steps are not gigantic leaps or shortcuts. They just are steps. Steps that you can take. Steps that I can take, that I have to take, that we can all manage to do. And there's no point where we're so far gone that's not worth trying, that's not worth, like, making that journey happen and finding that conclusion, finding that peace. So I don't know. That's my soapbox for today, and my TED Talk, I suppose. Man, wouldn't it be weird if I actually gave one of those? Anyway, Jacopo's biggest failing here is believing that there was nothing he could do now, and that he accepted the stuff he hated about himself, refused to change or find alternate solutions. And unfortunately, this is going to lead to him making some of the most horrific decisions we have yet to even see. So, and only a bottomless abyss waited on my back. I had left myself with nowhere to return to. Before I knew it, nearly 4 years had passed since the revolution. By then, not a soul dared defy my will. I was surrounded by people who supported my every decision. Few of them genuinely agreed with me on anything, obviously. But no one could deny how much growth I'd brought about, and so long as I continued to produce results, I would continue to have their outward support. As a trading hub, the city flourished, but the citizens were less than thrilled about the work I was doing. The poorest, especially, seemed to hold a great deal of enmity for me. But I was reaching the point where I couldn't manage on the support of the upper crust alone. Simply dumping sacks of coin to the streets wouldn't end poverty, though, and increasing tax on imported goods would undermine everything I'd built up. Lacking an actual solution, all I could do was work to make them feel like they were better off than they actually were. Fortunately, it was much easier to pull the wool over the middle and lower classes' eyes than it was the better educated upper class. I started by building public recreation facilities where citizens had priority access to, and then I turned my eye toward religion. About a year earlier, as part of the city's expansion, a bridge was built across the river that served the city as the city's effective border. A church had still not been established in that new district, so I wanted to build one to gather a following. Conveniently enough, my predecessor had been in the process of building a second manor on the other side of the river, and with a little bit of work I could easily be repurposed into a church. Oh no. Is that where I think it is? Oh no. That explains a lot. Oh no. Once people started making use of the church, it would be simple to win their favor by making myself known as a generous patron. Faith was the ultimate binder for the uneducated, and history showed time and time again that religion could be a powerful tool in the right hands. But the high foreigner and merchant population of the city meant that no particular religion had managed to take hold. The merchants especially tended to develop their own individual philosophies over the years, with few caring much for higher power. That was a possible explanation for why the church had never had much sway in this region. There was, therefore, a chance the whole thing could just be a colossal waste of money. However, I had recently caught wind of a curious rumor. There was a nun serving at a small church at the far edge of town whose people had come to refer to her as the Saintess. Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright. We're going to stop here because this is obviously unfolding into a new part of the story that we know a little too well. And this is very interesting. The foundation of what the ultimate darkness is coming. So we'll stop here because this, on top of like what I was able to record before, should be about the length of a normal episode. And this is going to be the start of some pretty intense stuff. So yeah, I actually think we're getting close to getting to the end here. Like, just because if we're just following Jacopo's story, essentially, like, we're almost at the point where the setup is to get Morgana here, right? Like, and once that happens, there's not really much else that goes on before the deaths of everybody. So, oh boy. Let's buckle up for that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Sorry for last week and just missing everything. Like you might have seen earlier in the video, I just got horrifically ill. Like, I spent that whole night. It was just awful. So thank you for your patience. I'm glad to be back. Thank you especially to the patrons. You guys are wonderful. Democracy Week was a roaring success. I'm really excited to have these new titles lined up and ready to go, to really just jump back into things and to really kind of expand the content on the channel. I'm really excited to be able to explore it. So thank you so much for being a part of that. It's really just wonderful to have you all here. Thank you for watching, and every bit of interaction you choose to get to share, you know, a comment or a like or a subscription means so much to me and to the channel as a whole. It helps like work with the algorithm, helps make the channel a better place. It also helps me understand like what I do right and helps me make good content. So I appreciate it. It really makes a big difference. So thank you. Until the next video, watch me up. See me in next. I'll see you there.